All right. Welcome once again, everyone, to today's episode of the Q Show. And today we have a special guest, in person of Chisom. Today we have a whole lot of things to talk about. We're already talking about it, and we are like, oh yeah, we're supposed to record and So
Yeah.
I really hope that you enjoy listening to this episode, and I'll leave. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Chisom to first of all introduce herself, what she does generally, then before we start the conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello. How is everyone doing? My name is Chisom, and I am Chisom Ayanedechi. I am a technical program manager at Dell Technologies in Dublin, Ireland. And really, what I do in digital learning is one thing to say I'm a technical program manager, but in layman's term, what I do is really just supporting the concept phase of some tech programs that we have at the company to ensure that they're aligned with the strategy of the company as a whole, right? So ensuring that they have good governance frameworks, they have good cost benefit analysis, and ensure that the programs are they have the right assumptions before they actually go into execution or they have different planning phases. But when I am not doing that, I am also a tech content creator. I create content around my life as a technical program manager. I also create content around productivity and just helping people achieve some of the things that they're hoping to achieve in their different phases of life. Yes, typically I'll use AI in a lot of things that I do. So I'm definitely happy to sit and have this conversation on how I use AI as a technical program manager and also in my personal brand as a tech content creator.
All right. Thank you so much for that's very elaborate discussion on who you are and what you do. And before we go on, I would like us to circle back, and
Mm.
I'll probably give this to you and the CEO, because before we started, we were discussing why it is important. I like to also, like, in summary, just so that at least our listener can have an idea of the concept. So in summary, can you just summarize quickly what we were discussing before about AI and Africans? Yeah, AI and Africans basically.
Do you want me to do that?
What
Yeah,
I
I think,
mean.
yeah, we were just talking about how there's this stigma around like AI still in Africa and how people feel this kind of embarrassment with admitting to using AI tools. So that's like one of the purposes of the show is to kind of like advocate in a way and tell people how AI is being used globally around the world. So that's why we brought in Chisom, who is a TPM at Dell, to like tell us how even in top companies and big companies like Dell, how AI fits into their daily workflow and how they use it. So like Chisom, like, can you tell us how you use AI in your daily workflow? I find this person really timely because, like today, I was just organizing my workflow, and then this is as cliche as it sounds. I was actually just organizing my AI workflow. Right now, I have like a couple of different AI tools that I use. I use ChatGPT, I use Claude, I also use Copilot. So it really depends on what I'm trying to do, right? It depends. That determines the tool that I would use, right? Or at work, we have an internal AI tool. So if tech companies are supporting this like AI as a whole, like who are we to say that we cannot use them? We're even encouraged at work to leverage the tools that the company has provided to do the work that we have to do. So, as a technical program manager, there are some of the things I'll use AI to do would be like drafting communications for stakeholders, making it to be a bit more professional, and just making sure that I am speaking in the tone that leaders would want to hear. I would also use it to like create executive decks and things like that. I would also use it as well to manage my to-do list. Copilot is an absolute like is that's the tool I currently use to manage my to-do list, right? And if I'm looking to brainstorm a bit more, ChatGPT will be the tool for me. And if I want to do like a deep dive analysis on a certain subject, then Claude would be that tool. And if there is like a specific or a sensitive information that I want to share, a sensitive problem with respect to like Dell, I wouldn't put it on any of all these platforms. I would use the internal
Dell tool that is recommended, right? So I would usually learn. It really depends on what I'm trying to do. And quite recently, I've also been learning how to use. I use it a lot. Gamma dot app, I think, to create like executive decks. And what I would usually do, I would use ChatGPT to tell. I'll tell it, give me the prompt that I would put in Gamma dot this thing to essentially create the deck that I'm trying to create. So I'm just using all this. It's almost like a web of different tools that I would use to get the things I want to do, and it really does the work very effortlessly. I can create decks in a couple of minutes. Again, it's not just creating the deck. When I have these decks, I sit and refine it in the way I want or in the way I make sure that I'm presenting it in the right way that I need it for the stakeholders that I need to use this for at the end of this. So it's not just taking what the AI tool has given me and just leaving it there. There is still an element of me, my tool, and the way Dell or the company or the stakeholder I'm using it for would like it. There is still that element there. So refining it in based on your audience is also very important, regardless of what AI tool you use and things like that. But also, right now, that's essentially my current workflow.
Yeah, I realized you mentioned a couple, and you see that some of the models or like the platforms have their own
Mm.
strengths. Because yeah, I mean, ChatGPT is very good for exploring new ideas. So you would use it
Mhm.
for brainstorming, even though it might not be very factual, like it might
Yeah,
hallucinate and create things that are not
it does that a
correct.
lot, actually. And I'm
Yeah,
like, okay,
so
where did you get this information from? I didn't tell you that, please. But yeah,
yeah.
it does that a lot.
Yeah, and you mentioned a lot of using, like you said, you mentioned using a lot of tools for different purposes. And here am I thinking, if I have to consult 5 different AI tools to do one task or to complete one task, does it improve my productivity and efficiency? Can't I just like, you know what, I'm just going to circle back or double down on just one, or, I'm not even going to use any AI tool. I'm just going to focus, human brain power and just focus right in, get it done with one AI. Why do you need like so many tools? Does it improve your productivity in any way or enhances it? I'm just, yeah.
It does. I'm not, it does 100%. I think that I have used it to the point where I know what tool works for what, right? And sometimes I also don't like to overload it. So, like, imagine if I'm using ChatGPT to manage my to-do list, brainstorm. It just feels like a lot going on in one place, and I'm like, that's too much. So when I want like a bit of productivity things, I know that I'm dumping everything in Copilot. When I want like deep analysis, ChatGPT, sometimes ChatGPT gives me a response and I'm like, I'm not feeling this as much. I take the same prompt and I put it in Claude and the answer is completely different. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what. So I think that I have used it up until the point where I know their different strengths and I know when to go to what to. Um, multiple to, it wouldn't be like one task multiple to. I would use it for different things like at different times, right? Let's say I'm trying to plan my content over a period of time. More often than not, the tool I'm using in that like time task would be like ChatGPT because I'm brainstorming, I'm building my content calendar and all that type of thing. I'm at work, I'm trying to organize my to-do list, or maybe it's the end of my day. I want to know what I'm doing tomorrow. I'll just go to Copilot. Okay, like put all this in my and Copilot is connected to my Outlook at work, so it makes it easier put all this on my to-do list and tomorrow send me an email of all the things I'm supposed to do and all the things I need to get done by a certain period, right? And then Claude again would be the tool that okay, I need something that would help me think differently and give me like Claude would be that tool for me. And I have ChatGPT on my phone as well. Usually when I'm when ideas are just coming at you and they're like hitting you, ChatGPT is the tool. I'll literally just go and press like the microphone and say everything I need. Dump it there. If I don't want to lose an idea, ChatGPT is where I'll dump it. It's literally my dump it. At this point, I owe Chat. I need to pay ChatGPT salary because it really is my dumping ground, and I'll just sit there when I'm ready to now refine it. I'll go there and refine it as much as possible. But again, I've used it so much so that I know what to when to go to a certain tool. So this is not something that I learned like in 1 month. I've used it for a good amount of time to know when to go to a certain.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And what you said actually correspond to the things we've been preaching on here on this show, which is that if, for example, they put you now beside someone that does not use AI too, and they ask you to complete some task within a period,
Yeah.
who's gonna finish first, you know? So what you've said actually just supports most of what we've been preaching in the real sense of it, in a practical real life situation, in a practical real life situation. So yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, okay. Let me hand it over to Ibukun.
Yeah. So, how does like AI help you manage complex governance frameworks? Because for a big tech, like that's very important for you.
Quite recently, I was building a process flow and a workflow for a task that I was given at work. The task is so complex that honestly, I didn't even know where to start. Right? I had a diagram of what I wanted, like drawn on paper, but I needed to present it in such a way that it was clear, it was readable, and it passed the message that I needed it to pass, both to someone who was new to my team and both to my team members. So in that kind of situation, I know what I want. So I would usually use an AI, any of the AI assistant tools that I'm using. I think the first thing that I did in that situation was really just show it the diagram and I say, help me make sense out of all this, right? And after that, I started putting like visuals into play on like PowerPoint and all of other kind of things. And at each step, I use AI to refine the different timelines to say, okay, what color should be should decision in this workflow be? What color should a final product and input and output? When I had gotten it to a point where I felt like it was readable and it made sense, and I started asking it, okay, if you were a new person on my team, imagine you were a new person, would you understand this workflow? And if he told me, when I did that, he gave me like gaps that were missing in the workflow. I refined it to make sure that a new person understood it. And I say, if I show this to my manager, is she going to say like, oh my God, Chisom, this is amazing work? And he said, okay, these are the things that you need to do so that when your manager sees it, she can literally understand it. I think that's just refining it. It took me, and this is not something that you finish in like 1 hour or 2 hours. It's actually a whole lot of work. It took me a whole day, about 12 hours to refine it to the point that when I looked at it, I was proud of what I had done. And even after I even shared the workflow in question with my team members, they still had feedbacks that I still took back to my AI assistant and say, okay, these were the feedbacks I was given. How do we now begin to refine this to implement this feedback? And then we're just going back and forth like that. At the end of the day, the eventual like workflow, the governance workflow in question, it made so much sense that it was very complex. This is like a big um 9 to 10 steps governance workflow. It was very complex, but the way I use AI to created, even a new person would understand it. So it requires a lot of prompting, you going back and forth when you do what you show it to the tool, where are the holes, where are the gaps, where do I need to simplify it a bit more? At the end of the way, you're trying to get to the point where it's a bit more readable, where it's clear, and where it makes sense, even to somebody who I think that's the biggest one for me, where it makes sense, even to somebody who doesn't know anything about what you're doing. Because when I like explaining things to people, I like to explain it in such a way that even if you were not in that state, this would still make sense for you. Maybe you just need a little bit of industry knowledge to fill in the gaps that you need. But as an outsider, you will still be able to get the message that I'm trying to pass to you. I think I eventually got to that point and I was like, yes, I kind of feel like I've got it. So I would say it requires a lot of you create, go back, create, go back. But then at the end of the day, I got to the point where I was like, I kind of like this workflow and things like that. The gaps are filled. I'll just make sure that as time passes, I'm auditing it and refining it as to what the organization needs. Yeah. That was that.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about like AI slop, but then I have like I completely disagree with that because this tool I always maintain that it's a tool. Like also depends on your own creativity and ingenuity to like get the most out of it. And yeah, one of the areas it's very good with is like onboarding. Like you said, like trying to make someone who doesn't really know about like this industry or like this organization to like get them up to speed very quickly. Even with like software development, it also helps with automating repetitive tasks. Sometimes you could just say, okay, summarize what this entire code base. Your code base could be like 10,000 lines of code. And you could just say, okay, I'm new here, just give me like a brief summary. I use that a lot with like things I'm not familiar with. Okay, just summarize these and give me like the
Yeah.
major points. Like what tech do you use here? How does it work? Just summarize it. So it's very good for even like passing information to like juniors or new hires and things like that. Yeah, which brings us to like AI for communication and stakeholder alignment. Like how does AI support your stakeholder management process, like communications and things like that?
Okay. First, let's say I have been put on a new project and I don't even know who is on what, who is responsible for what, and all of all that kind of thing. The first thing I'll do is to create the stakeholder map. And the last time I created the stakeholder map, I used Miro, and Miro is a tool that essentially helps to like create visuals. And I'll usually leverage the AI um things that it has to essentially create the visual out of it. Once I've created like the stakeholder map, I then begin to I would use any of my AI assistants again to understand like each person's roles and responsibilities. Okay, how do I communicate to this person? And one of the things that like AI tools are very good for is like making sure that you're communicating in the right way. The thing with knowing who is on your stakeholder map and what level they're falling under determines the tone and the message or the communication means that you would use for them, right? So I would typically use any of all my AI assistants to draft the meeting notes, and that's one of the key things I actually one of the biggest things I do as a program manager is really send out next steps, to dos, and all of all that kind of things, right? And AI makes it so much easier because it's actually so monotonous. It's so monotonous that you'll be like, oh my God, I really hate. I kind of feel like I just step out of my work, but somebody has to do it. But AI makes it like so much easier, right? So I would usually use it. Let's say I'm in a meeting and it takes a very complex technical meeting. With Zoom's AI companion, me understanding or creating the next steps for that meeting will take me about 30 minutes because of Zoom's AI companion. But when that tool did not exist, I would listen to a meeting like 2 times. And that was so, I hated the task so much. But now that Zoom's AI companion is there, I can listen and then match it to what the AI companion is saying, and I'm like, okay, I don't even have to listen to it like as much times I would usually when it wasn't around, right? Another thing is knowing who to communicate and when to connect the stakeholders that you are speaking to, right? Quite recently, my manager was telling me that Chisom, you need to make sure that you are communicating the right way and all of that. Sometimes you look at the we walk there and see everyone's level. You think that everyone is on the same level. No, the tone that you use for a director is different from the tone you use from like someone who is just a senior analyst and things like that. And that is so freaking important because you don't want to pass the wrong message to the wrong person, right? So I'll use the AI to make sure that my tone sounds professional enough, or at least based on the level that I'm communicating at. And I think another one would be to make sure that, again, when you're creating decks, you need to make sure that the deck you are creating is speaking to the audience that you are creating it for. When you're creating executive level decks, you just want the key, like the important information. So you cannot be creating decks and you're putting like 1 million things in your deck. AI would help you simplify it or executize it enough so that you're just giving executives the key things that they need, as opposed to if you are presenting to stand up your daily stand up deck, they are seeing your stakeholders would be different from the deck that you would use for like a senior leader who you're giving like overall reporting for and things like that. They just want the cases, and AI does an amazing job in refining how I communicate to these people, how I went, and even like the frequency at which I should communicate to them. You don't want to be copying your director on a day-to-day basis. Like if you're having daily stand-up meetings, that's not your director's business. They want to know like high-level information. So give them high-level information based on. So AI does an amazing job in really just helping refine how I communicate to my stakeholders based on their different levels and their different roles within the company. So
Yeah, that's amazing. Like the way AI could like take a source of information and kind of like transform it into different forms and communicates like different ways, but still capturing the core message you're trying to pass across is very, very helpful. And in terms of even personalized learning for even schools, like, we used to have like syllabuses or like course content that were just static.
yeah, yeah,
We all learn and understand and communicate in different ways. Like some people, audio, like unless they listen to something, they probably won't get it. And that
right.
even takes us back to even the productivity. Like if you can take like a source of information and just deliver it to the person in the way they understand it the most, like it skyrockets like your
Yeah,
your
it makes a
understanding
difference.
of
It
yeah,
really does make a difference. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree with
yeah.
you. And I think another thing when it comes to like communication, people need to be mindful of, particularly when you are sending like communication specific stakeholders. As much as you don't want to be embarrassed about the fact that you use AI. You also don't want it to sound AI generated, right? Again, that's where the human element comes in. Things like let's say you're not the type of person that would use like big words when you're speaking and things like that. Be mindful of when AI puts those words that don't necessarily sound like you. Like swap them with something that sounds like you. I think that is really important because sometimes you're sending a message. I mean, yes, everyone is using AI, but at the same time, let's be mindful of too AI curated messages. You know, when something is a bit too perfect, right? You don't want the imperfection, but at the same time, you also want the human element. Let your tone sound, let me hear the humanness in the email that you're drafting. I know one of the things that people have called out quite recently these days is how ChatGPT puts like the
Help
hyphen.
dash.
Yeah, I think it just makes sense to take it out. Yes, we're all using AI, but at the same time, if it's not playing a role in your sentence, please take it out. And I think another one that I've seen people say is like AI always says like I've, like instead of I have. I kind of feel like I don't know, that doesn't sound, I think it's okay, but that's also something that has been called out a lot. But the hyphen one is definitely when there's a lot of hyphen in your sentence, like on a normal day, you wouldn't use hyphen to write statements. Like, why is that? It just means that you copied and pasted that without even reading it. Or when they're like overly done, like emojis in your this thing, and ChatGPT does that a lot. If you know you're not the emoji person, based on who the person is, who is reading your the email or whatever it is that you are sending, like why do you need those emojis? It's not relevant to whatever communications that you are sending out. So take them out. I typically don't like them except like I'm doing it for my own work. When some of my mentees send me like perfectly curated, and I said, "Was this going right by yourself? What's going on?" But I can't tell that you wrote this with AI, which is okay. I encourage them to use AI as much as possible. At the same time, I still want to hear your tone, your voice in whatever communication you send out. So I think that's very important to mention.
Yeah, you mentioned tone, like that's like one of the safeguards I put in place. I when I give it like my ramblings, I say, okay, I want you to check this for grammar and language structure, but make sure you keep that tone, like
Yeah.
the way I would
Yes.
normally write and speak. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna hand it over to IFA.
Yeah, so to just circle back to some of the things you've said. So in one of the tasks that was given to you, you said you were going back and forth with AI for about 12 hours. So let's assume there's no AI. So how many hours do you think you would have spent on it?
Ah, I don't know. I think it would have taken me like a week or two. I think it would have taken me a good amount of time, to be honest. I really think it would have taken me because it was quite a complex process. Like it was, and I don't know. I don't think I know the answer. But it would have
Yeah,
taken me a
so
significant. It would have taken because I've done something like that before, even like before AI became a real thing. It took me like I thought about it at random times when I wasn't thinking about it. I was thinking about it in my head and things like that. And then when I think about it, I have to run back and go and take a look at okay, this is where this is happening and things like that. That one took me about 2 weeks or 1 week, give or take 2 weeks, to be honest, to refine to the point where I was like, I'm happy with this end product.
yeah.
This one is even a bit more complex, and I'm like, I don't know how long this will take me. Well, yeah, it will take me a good amount of time, essentially.
And then whatever remaining time that you probably they give you like do it within 2 weeks and you're able to finish it in a
Yeah.
day. Well, the remaining 1 day, six okay, let's talk about business days now.
See, that's the thing with AI. I kind of feel like you'll find that nobody is giving you tasks to do in that amount of time anymore, right?
Mm,
Particularly with programming, people want to move fast because things are changing, and because I even work in a tech company, things are changing very fast. So you'll find that people are not even giving you that length of time to do things. Companies are reducing the lives of leadership so that they can make
yep.
decisions faster because there is no time. The AI that you know yesterday might not be the AI that you know tomorrow. So
Yeah.
if you are slow, you are going to be on the losing end. So companies, I think that's one thing I've also noticed. Companies want employees who are able to take action very fast. If you're going to fail fast, let's move on to the next thing, right? So
Yep.
you need to do it
Mm.
fast. Before you can be doing a task for 2 weeks. But now, why are you doing a task for 2 weeks? Like why? What are you don't think like I don't think that like that length of time. I think that's one thing that we're going to lose with like AI. Nobody is going to be giving you time to be doing things anymore. You need to act and act very fast because the technology that you know today is not going to be the technology that you know tomorrow. And the people who cannot keep up with the speed at which things are changing are the one that tend to lose, right? So yeah, yeah,
I like that point because most people have tried to attribute layoffs to AI, like the technology itself, but that's not the case. Like companies are trying to get rid of that top-down approach where you
yes,
have to wait for a manager to approve this. So like get rid of that layer. I just want to execute, execute, execute.
yeah,
And like if for me as an employer of labor, like I make it mandatory for you to use AI. Like if you cannot use AI, I'll probably not employ you. People who are still kind of wrestling with AI, like I don't want to use it. Like you don't have a choice. If you don't use it, like you probably won't be able to find jobs anymore in the
yeah.
future.
I
That's just
honestly,
the truth. Yeah.
I think that that's really what it is. I was speaking at was it Microsoft the other day, and I think someone came up to me and they were saying something around, oh my God, they don't know how to start using it. I'm like that the roles that they are looking for they can't find. I'm like create the roles yourself. I think the guy was a software engineer or something like that. I'm like or a product manager. I think he was a product manager. I'm like, why don't you become an AI product manager? I'm like, there's nothing like AI, but I create it. Honestly, I'm at the headspace where whatever you are doing, put AI behind it, and that's what you are. I told in that conversation, I was telling him, don't worry. Now I'm a technical programmer. Just soon, I will be an AI programmer. It's just a matter of time. By the time you have the program management knowledge, and then you have the AI knowledge. All you need to do is call yourself an AI, and no who is going to question you. So what you can deliver the things in an AI space. Like who's going to question you? I sat down the other day and I started calling myself a creative project manager. And everybody believes I'm a creative project manager when I'm not doing technical pro. You really? Like, oh, he was saying he's not sure. I said, go and learn AI things. You're a product manager. Call yourself an AI product manager. You will be surprised how many roles will start coming up and they're looking for AI product management. You'll be very surprised. And he was like, oh my God, that makes sense. I said, yes, of course it makes sense. That's what you need to do. By the time you start branding yourself as an AI product manager, who's going to question you? Who is going to, like, you have the AI knowledge, you have the product management knowledge, put it together. What does that make you? AI product man. It's actually very simple math. And yeah, I hope he did it, but yeah, I think that's what people need to start doing these days. Okay, you're this, put AI behind it and make sure you have the AI knowledge. That's very important. Make sure you have the AI knowledge that when you actually put in the space, you can actually do something out of it, right? But AI behind it, and that's when you brand yourself like that.
Yeah, and you're very right. And actually, that's one of the things, unfortunately, most Africans are not fully aware of. And, if you talk to someone in university, they are still asking, what are the jobs that exist with AI? And I'm like,
That's not me thinking that this is common knowledge. It's not me thinking that it is actually
Yeah,
common knowledge.
you would think that, but like that's why shows like this are important, right? Like you would think that, oh, it's obvious. Like it's not. It's not. These people don't get it yet.
Oh
They
my
don't
God.
get it.
Oh my God. Like, no, I think that's what people need to do. Like, when I even said, like, when I thought about the whole me becoming right now I'm on a path to becoming an AI program manager, right? When I thought about it, it wasn't like it was really a thing, but program management is you leading projects, right? What if I'm leading AI projects? That makes me an AI project manager. If I'm leading health projects, makes me a health project manager. Like, it just depends on the skills that you put it. And this is essentially why I feel like people need to apply in other. I'm actually surprised that this is not common knowledge.
It's
To think
not.
that I didn't read it up anywhere. It just came to my head, and well, that's interesting. That's actually quite interesting. But yeah, that's what people need to do anyway. Whatever it is they are doing, go and learn about AI. And take as much AI courses as you want, and then use like any of the AI assistant tools and say, how do I begin to apply AI in this like field? That's what I did as and I created a curriculum on how I can become an AI project manager. I want to become I'm a product manager. How can I become an AI product manager? Stick to the curriculum for 6 months. In no time, you will be able to start having conversations in that space. Like some of the things I create on my part of some of the content I create is how I use AI in my day to day work, right? So that's what I feel like people should do. Create a curriculum for yourself using this tool. Stick to that curriculum for 6 months. You want to become an AI. Let me. Oh, give me another example. Product manager. Give me another maybe.
AI engineering manager,
trend,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or AI QA. Like I feel
Exactly.
that's like going to be very big. Like AI quality assurance person.
And
Yeah.
I think that's also going to be really big. Create a curriculum for yourself. What courses do you need to take now? And the thing is that you already have, if you're a Q already, you already have the QA knowledge. What you need to do is just really just gonna fill the AI gap. What do you need to start doing? What questions, what conversations do you need to start having? And all you need to do is actually start putting yourself in spaces that talk about this and start putting your voice to it and say, okay, like this is how I'm thinking about that. Like, how you need to start talking about this is it's not so hard. Start pushing the conversation out, and you find out that there are actually people who are interested in this conversation. You be like, this is actually a real path. Like, it's just a matter of time. Everything will be AI or whatever. AI, like, it really is just a matter of time, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. And I actually like what you said about if, for example, someone in quality assurance or you in product manager, you have the base knowledge, you are fully aware of what the field entails, and you are just adding AI to more like a wrapper out of the base knowledge. And that's what I usually advise people. Whatever you want to do, make sure you first know the core. And even to know the core, you can use AI, you can use LLM, like you said, ask it to develop a curriculum for you, top-down approach within 6 months that is workable, even that is workable to your own schedule. If the only time you have is maybe two
Yeah,
hours on a
exactly.
Saturday, yeah, it's something you can use AI to just develop that and stick to it. Once you know the core,
That's where people miss it. They don't stick to it. They don't.
mhm,
I don't even think people even get to the point where they even create the curriculum. I'm starting to tell like some of my mentees like, what are you trying to
Yeah.
learn? My mentor was trying to become a project manager. I'm like, just go to. I eventually had to create the curriculum for her myself. Like, give it your reality. Create this curriculum for yourself and teach yourself how to stick to it. That's the most important. You need to stick to it. If it's not working for you, refine it in such a way that it works for you. Let's say, I'm sure if I don't know, but yeah, I think that's what people need to do. I think that's really, really what they need to do. Create a curriculum for yourself and stick to that curriculum. You get to the point where you can begin to brand yourself as that, right? It really does work. It really works.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
And
go ahead then. All right, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, like in all of these, we also have to like talk about like safeguards and responsible AI use. Like we're not talking and advising people to just use it irresponsibly because we've seen that in the news about people who use these tools irresponsibly and it didn't turn out very well for them. So
Yeah.
can you like expand on that?
Okay. I think that ethical AI is going to be a thing. So if there's anybody that who likes like governance and ethics, ethical AI is going to be a thing. That can be like a field that you can even begin to teach yourself if that's something that you're interested in. But some of the ways that I make sure that I'm responsibly using AI is to make sure that like I'm not putting like confidential data in the tool, right? I try to make sure give it like vague information or what still while still being very specific. And if I want to, let's say I'm working on a company project and I want like I need to use like specific tool, I use tool that Dell has provided to essentially refine the content that I'm making, right? Just make sure that you're not putting sensitive data. If it's not something that you're going to put on the internet, then like don't put it inside the tool because at the end of the day, it's still open to like so many other things and all that. And again, this is where the human factor comes in. I hallucinate. Like it really is quite a new like thing that we're using now, right? So you need to make sure that when it gives you an information, you are reading it, you are verifying it, like, is this correct? Sometimes like AI is giving me information that I'm like, where did you get this from? Let's say I give it a document to read, and maybe I've even read the document before, and it says something that I did not give. I'm like, that's a false statement. And it is that when I actually tell it to the person, I say, I actually agree with you, the first, which is so freaking weird. It doesn't use that actually true. But yes, I think it's important to refine. Don't we cannot take out the human element from all these things because at the end of the day, AI was, I mean, it was created for us to use and use responsibly, right? So just make sure that whatever you are doing, don't put those would be like this small things that I would do. Don't put the data inside and I don't just copy and paste. I refine it, I read it, I digest it and make sure that whatever it is saying that I should do, it's not just AI and that AI generated answer essentially. So those would be the things that I do. And I think that we'll soon get to the point where there will be like laws around I don't know if these GDPR like compliance laws around like AI. I kind of feel like we're getting to that point because if it's becoming the norm, we'll probably have like laws around it, compliance laws are around it. And I'm actually looking forward to what that era would look like. So ethical AI is going to be a thing like very soon. So yeah, and if ethics is your thing, and I feel like there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, human in the loop approach. But I mean, Elon Musk will probably have something to say about that because he's creating robots to take humans out of the equation. But yeah, that's his
Honestly,
problem.
I watched a couple of movies with, like this human AI, and honestly, I don't think I'm ready for that future. I really don't think I'm ready for that future, to be honest. Well, we'll see how it goes.
So, what future are you ready for?
One future that I'm definitely ready for, particularly like this. One feature I'm definitely ready for, particularly in the field I work, is the project management tools that I use beginning to forecast things when you use them to develop your projects, all right? Let's say, for example, like ClickUp is a common project management tool. Let's say I put like my projects on ClickUp, I give it like my risk, my dependencies, and all that kind of thing. I foresee these tools like forecasting what could potentially happen based on the risk and dependencies, or like even the financials that you give it, right? And I think that will be really, really interesting because we spend a lot of time and human resources, effort, financial on this project. So if we can predict what could potentially happen to them in the field based on the risk that we know today, I think it will really change what project management looks like in the near future. And that's I think they're beginning to work towards that. I'm actually excited about what that would look like, right? It would really just help take project program management from chasing risk and dependencies and try to mitigate them to will help us to start thinking ahead. Really take us from be just being a manual executors to actually thinking ahead of how do we really prevent this if this has the potential of happening like 90%, that kind of stuff. That is definitely one AI future that I'm looking forward to because I think it'll be really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite interesting because that's my proposed thesis for my PhD application
Okay, that's
is
interesting.
forecasting and using telemetry observability because currently my work, I work with telemetry using logs, metrics, and traces to kind of highlight issues in a system end to end, like a distributed
Yes,
system. So looking for a way to kind of like use that with AI to kind of like forecast issues. Because in my work, sometimes we set up all these dashboards and all, but things still break
yeah,
and then you get woken up at odd times to come fix issues. So if the AI could tell me, oh, at 11 a.m. next week, this could happen, like it would make my life easier. Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you. That'll be an interesting future.
Thanks. Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about corporate work and what you've been using AI to do as a project manager. Do you feel AI goes beyond that, especially with your personal development and growth?
100%. I think AI is helping me build my personal brand in the way that I actually imagined it. You all should see at this point if my ChatGPT conversations ever go viral, Jesus Christ, it'll be a whole thing because I've really used AI to build what my brand looks like. Like quite recently, one of the specific brand things I have done is I'm trying to change like my branding, my core branding looks on social media, right? And prior to like this whole year, I've been using pink as my color. But then quite recently, I started noticing a couple of things that other people in my space were using, like the colors that they were using. One thing that I noticed that yellow was a core color. And I was like, it was just something that caught my eye. I was like, this creator is using yellow. Like a couple of creators that I was just seeing were using yellow. And I take the information to ChatGPT and I'm like, I take like just their dashboard and like, why are all these people using yellow? What is it about yellow that people like? And it tells me that yellow gives an illusion that you know what you're doing. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And then I create another video and the cover page for the reel that I created. I use yellow as the main color, right, for the text that I wrote. That video has been one of my best performing videos. I'm not even joking. Till today, I don't know why, but one of the things that I did differently was to change the colors. I created a carousel as well recently with yellow as the core color. I've created carousels before in the past though with pink, and I created this one with yellow. And this carousel, the people that are messaging me, I'm like, it's not that serious. But the only difference is the fact that I used yellow. I did take time to analyze like the fact that people were using yellow as their core color. And honestly, yellow there's a thing with yellow. It really does give an illusion that you know what you're doing and it attracts people to you, right? So yeah, that's like how AI is helping me build my personal brand. So here I am, I'm about to change my personal brand color from pink to yellow. I've done the analysis.
we should change our background to yellow. I feel like maybe
Yeah.
get rid of the blue and go to yellow. Like I mean, in terms of color, like I know people kind of like every year release like this is the color for this year. There's the color for that year. I think the color for next year is white. So maybe we'll
Oh,
see.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's
So I
yeah,
haven't done enough experiment, but I think we are
yeah.
going to try it since yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We should.
I think it definitely makes a difference, and it shows people how to see your brand, right? Again, this I'm just this yellow analysis is very recent, but it was just I sat down to do like a deep dive analysis with like ChatGPT to see why people were using because like I would say like five creators that I followed, and I'm sure there are more than that. They were using yellow as their core color, and it just made sense. So after I did, I'm like, so do you think I should change my color to yellow? Shadu is a yes, you need to change your color to yellow. I've actually tested it out and I see where they are coming from. It really makes a difference, right? But no, beyond that, beyond like branding as well, a lot of the things I have executed this year for my personal brand, a lot of them I have refined, brainstormed, and thought about using like these AI tools. I recently, sometime in the middle of the year, I did a series on really just helping technical program managers navigate their early lives as a technical program manager. And that was also another thing that really helped me brand as a technical program expert online, right? So that whole series, I curated the scenes, the scripts, everything was done using ChatGPT. So it's one thing for these AI tools to tell you what to do. It's also another thing to actually go on and execute. So if the idea never leaves the confines of your conversation with these tools, that's it. If that's where it ends, then it would not make a difference. But quite a number of the things that I do or the ideas that I execute, I have sat down to refine them on um on like this AI assistant. I also recently organized my first ever physical event for people who are trying to like set their goals and things like that. And me and ChatGPT, we had like a back and forth conversation on how I needed to market it, how I need to build the series, how I need to just how I even got sponsored for it, how I should present myself to these sponsors, and all of other things. So it really helps like expand my creative thoughts. And if I'm looking for that one-stop shop to brainstorm the ideas that I have, these AI tools are really helping me refine them, right? Prior to AI even coming into play, when like normally people have ideas, when you think about how you need to execute them, how you need to be like, this is a bit too much. But now AI is giving you is helping you brainstorm. And then maybe the resources that you need are just around, you can use them. But before, you have to do deep down research, find all about it. But the combination of AI and social media can really take your personal brand to the next level if you use them the right way. When AI tells you use social media to get visibility for yourself, AI gives you the strategy, you execute and use social media to broadcast to people both within your network and outside your network. So it has definitely played a role in how I show up in my personal brand or in the brand I'm trying to build overall. Oh yeah,
Yeah. One idea I got like yeah this week around like building personal brand is I want to build a tool that pulls like from my social media feed. Like it's going to pull everything I've ever put online and kind of like create a persona for me to like generate more things. It's just this fun project that I'm thinking of working on. So it could help me create more tweets. Like, okay, analyze the ones that did better and give me ideas on what I can do to like replicate this effect. So I
yeah.
think it's going to
That
be
would
a fun
actually
project.
that would be really good. Be that analyze what you did, like which ones did well, would be like a really big one because one thing that you want to make sure you're doing when you're trying to build your personal brand online is you want to be putting more of the content that actually works as opposed to like just putting there's one thing to think of an idea but if and then implement it but if you put it out there and your audience does not receive it as much as you thought, then you need to now begin to find ways to put out things that the audience actually wants. Because at the end of the day, the whole point is to create impact for the audience that are listening or watching you. So you need to make sure you're putting out content that is useful to them as opposed to just dishing out like things here and there, right? Put out content that is useful and that they need essentially. So yeah, I think that's actually a really cool idea.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope our listeners are like enjoying this chat as much as I am or doing, because I hope Chisom becomes like a regular on the show. So we'll definitely want you back for more episodes. Yeah.
No, I enjoy the conversation as well. And I kind of feel like I'm in a headspace where the more I learn about it, the more I feel like I need to get like I need people to say this. Like now that you're saying that people are embarrassed, we need to stop that. Embarrassed? Where? Why? Jesus Christ, please. So I think definitely I'm happy to come back anytime. Yeah.
All right. Thank you once again, Chisom, for coming on the show. As Ibukun said, I really enjoyed chatting with you. I enjoyed this conversation, and we hope that our listeners learned a lot and enjoyed and learned a lot and enjoyed while learning. So is there any final thoughts from our guest speaker before we round up?
Wisdom. Give us a word of wisdom.
Yes.
Honest, let me see. If you haven't set your goals for 2026, I'm all about being intentional about the year. Don't let the year go by. Like you need to be a bit more intentional about how the year is, how you're essentially positioning yourself for the year. You're made for so much greatness, but somehow you let laziness be the thing that is stopping you. Stop it. Don't do that in 2025. Sorry, 2026, because 2026 is your year, but I really hope that you're responsibly using AI and using it to execute all the million ideas that are in your head.
Yep.
Execute all the million ideas in your head. But yes, it was really nice being on this show.
All right. Thank you. Thank you once again, Jason, for coming on. And to our listeners, if you want to listen to more episodes, feel free to follow us on all our social media. And if you want to learn more about QSoft or the Q Show, you can see the link in the bio. Thank you and see you next week.